kind of dig that load. Hey, Kate!
We shirt.
Meatloaf!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Moretako Encounter.
Such a shit show. Always a shit show.
We're never serious
No,
in the
no,
beginning.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be a professional around
Yeah,
here.
it's not me.
So,
That's why we have Eric.
Yeah.
kind of recapping what we had talked about previously, we had been in a discussion about kind of competitiveness turning into participation and how athletics has kind of evolved over time. Joe, you mentioned a few different important things just about kind of the mentality of the athlete and where that comes from and parental guidance and where things are going with that. And then Nico, you brought up a great point talking about how athletes have this mentality where I'll use an academic term that comes up a lot in my job, resilience. And that if they don't experience
Not resignation.
No, it's
Yeah,
a buzzword, though. That's for sure a buzzword.
resignation or resonance,
Yeah.
but that if they're not pushed to a limit and able to press through, there's this crumbling effect that happens now. I'm going to go with two words. So my hypothesis about the breakdown of American culture, I don't know how much it is worldwide. I'm not an international citizen, but and it bleeds into athletics, the workplace that you were mentioning, Joe, earlier. And I'm going to go with two things, and I'll do a little segment on each. Money and winning. Money is the problem, and winning is the problem. And
But if you flip it upside down.
it kind of
Money.
you
That's good.
guys each
That was awkward.
you guys each referenced these, and the reason I think money is a problem, and I'm going to go in deep on this because it does originate with kids, and you could be like, well, okay, what do kids have to do with the money? Well, the problem is as parents gain more and more and more money, with money comes the concept of privilege. It comes with the belief, I deserve X. I make Z amount of money now. X, Y, A, D, F should be happening in my life. There's a direct correlation between the cash in their pocket and what comes out. And how does that get fed down? It gets fed into kids. And I can go down this rabbit hole a little bit more, but I'm going to give you guys a chance to respond to it or whatever. But I would trigger a specific moment of financial acuity, and that comes, it was probably like mid to late 90s, and it comes with the separation and kind of the slow distillation of the middle class and how our country has become very polarized financially and athletically. It's the destruction of Little League. And I can break down that a little bit further. Obviously, you guys know I have some experience in coaching baseball and being part of a board and stuff like that. When Little League broke down and subsequent programs that are similar to it, and everybody thinks that their kid deserves travel. Their kid is worthy of this. And that's a financial thing, and it's a winning thing. Parents don't like losing. Talking about resilience in kids, you mentioned this. The problem starts with the parents. When parents don't teach their kid, hey, guess what? 90% of the time you're going to lose. Let's learn how to cultivate that. Let's cultivate that mentality. But no, my child is the best. My child deserves this. My child, whatever. And so when their kid cries when they don't win, we're going to make our own team. We are going to create a program where you can win. We'll put the money into it. We will make this happen. And so you have people cultivating and creating scenarios to where their kid can be the most successful. You mentioned LeBron James. You went into it in depth on LeBron James.
And bitch.
And
Sorry.
I think a lot of that comes
Triggered
when
me.
he was younger
Sorry.
and he was told, if you can't have that, we'll make that happen. And then you see some culminating factor with the Ball family, LeVar Ball, creating paths for his kids, Caleb Williams' dad, and all of this. This is part of a cultural thing. And you guys have probably heard me say this before. As an educator and as a coach, when we were growing up, there were helicopter parents. These parents, they would float around. They're trying to make sure things happen well. But the very concept of a helicopter is I'm above, I'm going to observe. I might drop things from above and try to intervene, but there wasn't direct, forcible interaction. And you guys have probably heard me use this term. Nowadays, they're called snowplow parents. They plow the path through difficulty for their kids so their kids can just walk right behind the snowplow with no difficulty, no need for resilience, no need to persevere, no need to deal with trauma. Why do we have all these social emotional problems? I'm not saying that they don't exist, but this comes at here. So I would say it's money and winning.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you said there that, kind of goes back to some things that, happened with this week. And I'll give you an example. You talked about like parents thinking that, I think there's like I have so many thoughts. My brain's going, my brain doesn't function correctly all the time. So like,
Look at your notes.
Yeah, hang on. But like, if you I think money does have a lot to do with the sense of entitlement for some people, right? Mm-hmm. I think also sometimes it doesn't even take that maybe they make a good amount of money, or maybe they make more money than their parents did. So now there's like a different sense of entitlement. We know people like that, where they think that their shit don't stink because maybe they do okay financially, right? And that I can be that snowplow parent. I mean, they're like some of them might be worse. Maybe a bulldozer parent.
It could even be the pursuit of money.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have money, but they're driven by that.
Yeah, there's something, right? And I think it's that's why money is like I would even add like a third point to that, and it is that sense of entitlement. And I don't think it always has to do with money. I think it's people just sucking, right? And not being checked. You need to be checked sometimes, right? If you're not self-aware,
all classes of people,
everyone,
all races, everyone needs to be checked.
Everyone, you got to be checked. And some people, I think as you mature and as you get a little bit older, you can be self-aware and you know where your opportunities are, you know where your weaknesses are, and you know that when someone's going to give you some sort of criticism, that you should be able to take it. Like you have to, right? That's how you get better. Those people can't. Those people won't listen to that stuff. And what they're going to do is they're just going to make excuses and find all this different BS to go off of instead of owning something, right? And I think that all comes from entitlement. When you're that entitled, I'm telling you, there's more of them out there than you think. And in all walks of life, in small towns, in big towns, people that make 40 grand a year, people that make $1 million a year, there's a sense of entitlement from these people. And until they get checked, it's always going to be there. But when you check that person, I think over time, it'll get better, right? They're going to catch themselves in those scenarios where they're like, oh, shit. Like, maybe because
there's a relativism to it.
Yeah.
So if you're making 40, I think it's all relative, right? So if you're making 40K in Podunk, Montana, you are filthy rich.
Yeah.
And so if you've never, who's going to check you? Your local town grocer? Like, I'm serious.
Right. But do you have these challenges in Podunk, Montana?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We live in a small town, but even in like this, we say small town a lot.
We're from a small town, but we're
but
from
we're
suburban Chicago.
I was just about to say, we're in an expensive state, though.
Yeah. Great point.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's small in population, but big in drama.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh,
I
was
like
good.
that.
That felt good.
I like
that felt good.
Your wife made me a shirt that said "Small Town Big Pride."
Ooh,
I rocked that shit.
I'm gonna have her
all
have
the time.
small town big drama because
I
some
might change
people
it.
suck so much ass. It's not even funny. But
that's my fear for you.
I think I do think though that like people are.
I'm not really on the board. I just
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here.
I like it.
I'm a fly on the wall. But I think
I like
people are
listening.
starting to come around a little bit with that, and there's less patience for that, like said BS and that said entitlement. But I don't know. Some people will check it. Some people just pass it off, and we've been those people, right? We're like, oh well, that's just how that person is. Like it's fine. It's not a big deal. And then you're like, you know what? This person kind of fucking sucks. Like,
And we're not sitting here flawless either.
no, we all have our own
and
issues,
in-
right? 100%.
In some respects, like
I suck.
we're probably part of this problem too. Like talking about, like you guys have heard this story. When I was in Little League, my parents got me a really epic Easton baseball bat with a
Big barrel.
perfect,
that's my nephew's name.
Perfect.
Shout out to Easton.
Big barrel.
I don't know, perfect rubber cylindrical handle. And you know,
That's a
like,
big
and
word.
you weren't,
I know what that
but
means.
you weren't
What does that
worried
mean?
about like, oh, the grip on this bat, it's phenomenal. And my son was 10 years old, and I bought him a $450 baseball bat. I mean, like I'm a part of it too. We're all part of this, but my son gets checked.
Yeah, and the parents that don't check their kids, they're raising this. They're going to be a freaking monster when they get into the workforce, when they get into high school. High school is going to be the checking moment for these kids. I'm telling you,
Sometimes, but not the way it was when we were
No,
kids.
I know.
Because
No,
the
but
entire
it was
culture is
different
when
different.
you were
The
younger.
entire
It's actually
culture
a
is
lot
different.
different.
We were actually talking about it at work the other day about people that peaked in high school. These people peaked in high school, and you look at them now and like, I don't know, like maybe they're not the most popular. Maybe they don't have that job that they thought they were going to have, or maybe they're not as successful as they thought, or well liked as they thought because they did peak.
Men and women peak at different instances of life, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's not too late.
Yeah, no,
But
for
isn't,
sure.
Never too late.
isn't that where, and I don't know if this is where you're going to go, but isn't that like the first real time? I would extend it a little deeper. Even middle school, like I'm a middle school teacher. We were just on a middle school trip today. You see these kids have to overcome, I'm not popular.
Yeah,
I'm awkward. This zit on my face is eating my face. These girls won't talk to me. These guys won't talk to me, yada, yada, yada. And if you have if you don't learn how to adapt to those problems, you're not learning. I think there's something to be said for being a loser, for being somebody who has to overcome obstacles, who's not popular, who's not prom king, who's not homecoming queen and all these things. You're not table fed everything you need. And then you learn how to grow up, and you learn how to be sad, and you learn the fact that not every hot girl or guy is going to like you. Deal with it, and you overcome emotionally inside first.
So there's something to be said about that. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays, or even adults, they want that instant gratification. There is one success story.
Winning. They
Yes,
want
it's winning.
to win.
They want now, they want to hear, they want success, they want all that. There is one story that I will never let go of. And this happened years ago, but there was a kid that I wrestled with growing up. I'm going to say his last name. I'm not going to say his whole name, but I'm going to say his last name because he deserves props. His last name's Latella. His family is probably one of the best families I've ever met in my life. I mean, we started wrestling at 5 and 6 years old. This kid, he always had that flash of greatness. He never dominated, but there was always something special about him where you see that one match where it's just like, that kid's good. And then he'd go and get wrecked by a kid that was just a little bit better. This kid always had to deal with adversity. Every year in and year out, he was just wrestling against the best kids because he was at that weight class. He was at that age group where he was always wrestling the best of the best just because that's where he fell. Year in and year out, he was getting that extra award, that hustle award, that best improved, that special award where you know that his work ethic gave him that extra trophy, that extra whatever it was at the team banquet. This kid never did anything from the time he was 5 years old until his junior year. Nothing great. His senior year, it clicked. His senior year of high school, it just worked. He had the perfect regional tournament, the perfect sectional tournament. He goes down to state. He wrecks everybody, and he wins a state title. His last hurrah. That, to me, I haven't seen him since it's happened. If I were to see him in public, I'd give him a big hug. Just his success story alone speaks volumes of who he is as a person. I think we as a society have gotten away from that. We gotten away from the journey, if you will. We want the instant gratification. We want to be, yes, I'm the best at what I do. Give me the award. I'm the best on the team. Give me more money. I'm the best at this, best at that. Nobody pays attention to the grind. Everybody sees him his senior year. They're like, hey, this kid was awesome his senior year. But nobody saw him at 5 years old working 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up till that last hurrah. That kid's success story, and he's a man now. He's a year younger than me. His success story, I live for that the rest of my life.
It's so funny you talk about that, and my mind immediately went to not amateur wrestling, but wrestling, WWE wrestling. And I started thinking about when we were kids, what did people want to see? Goldberg, spear, jackhammer match. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Stone Cold Stunner beats the boss. Swears in his face, gives him the finger,
and
it's over.
Yes.
Bing, bang, boom.
Yes.
And
that instant gratification.
And instead of the Cody Rhodes story that's happening now, and some of these guys, like even you have, if you have a name, if you have privilege, if you have money. Like I remember when Brock Lesnar came back after the UFC and came back to the WWE, he just walked in, F5, boom, boom, champ. And it's like, where that is cross-cultural.
Isn't the journey the story to be told?
Yeah. And you know what's, it's kind of funny. And you're
Should
speaking like WWE or whatever. And it's, yeah, rock the shirt.
Well,
this segment,
we were not even planning that. That's
brought
great.
to you by me.
Yeah, this segment's brought to you by Kate's Creations. Check her out on Facebook.
I love how she got the old school logo.
Yeah, dude, money. First off, this was all me. I did this. I found this.
Did you print?
Yeah. Well, no. I picked it up. I picked this one.
Wait,
up.
you didn't call me to pick that up.
This one was me.
I'm gonna let you know.
I'm like 3 minutes from that building.
I'm gonna hashtag World Wildlife Fund.
Whoa!
So
get the panda on the front.
The panda, and
Get
they're
the
going to
panda.
sue us for sharing letters.
Yeah,
with
damn
them.
it. But what I want to go back to,
Bro, I was available that day.
I know. Sorry. We talked about wrestling, and you talk about currently, like, kind of what's going on. For those of you that follow, like, I'm not a huge follower of wrestling anymore, but it pops up on my feed, so I watch it. Whatever. So most recently, talk about instant gratification and the journey and all these things. And I don't know what the story was with this, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here. So, the whole Cody Rhodes thing, he's supposed to come back. He won the Rumble. He's supposed to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But then The Rock comes back, right? The all-time name, right? Everyone knows who The Rock is. I don't care who you are, where you live.
He's a billionaire.
And
billionaire.
Even his story is a journey too.
Awesome story.
But you don't keep
right?
going with it. I'm sorry.
But he's definitely a guy that I think has he has to be able to admit this, that he's a guy that has some sense of entitlement, right? Like he is who he is. Get that, right? So the plan was he came back, and now all of a sudden he's going to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and he's going to take over.
Now Cody, it's back to Cody.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So he's going to take over, like he's going to take the spotlight once again. And a lot of when that first was released, a lot of fans kind of threw a fit, and I'm like, huh, like that's kind of cool, right? It's not the instant like cool. We're gonna get The Rock, Roman, they're related, all this shit. And there was kind of a fan uproar, and then it turned into Cody fighting Roman Reigns. He's going to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But the point that I'm bringing in, do you think that was the story from day one when The Rock came back to talk to Roman Reigns? Or do you think because the fans threw a fit about it, rightfully so, that they changed on a whim, and they're like, you know what, this is a route we're going to go because of the reaction that we got?
I think they'll never tell you the truth.
But what do you think?
In my heart of hearts, I believe,
and this has nothing to do with being like a wrestling fan.
Please
right?
don't
like,
bring me into the Super Bowl bullshit.
this is going to get further into it because I think it's important.
I'm not going to go deep into it, but I think there's something about some bookers. Bookers are the people who are in charge of setting up storylines, setting up consequences, stuff like that. Some bookers have their heads to the ground, listening to fans, and this is what I would say that kind of brings back to athletics and the culture of America. One thing that I can say for wrestling fans as a generalization, it's not every fan, but wrestling fans, both amateur and stuff like WWE, tend to be blue collar, hard workers themselves. Like it's not freaking rich people sitting in the front rows. It's people who busted their cap to buy those $250 tickets.
That's a great point.
And so they're sitting there and they're watching this. And that is kind of a culture of wrestling, right? So yes, I think fandoms and people in wrestling can have an impact, but like, are you going to see that as an example at a J-Lo concert? Like, oh, J-Lo's out that girl behind J-Lo is dancing better than her. Are the fans going to start chanting for the backup dancer?
Right.
So like, what is the arena you're examining? Where is it coming from? How much has privilege impacted those people around? How much is money involved? How much is this winning mentality around? Like, remember, people revolted against The Rock and Oprah when they were trying to send money to Hawaii for the fires.
Yeah, we want money from you, even though we're both worth billions of dollars and we just pay for it.
Well, you brought up the whole blue collar community. Your son has an event coming up as far as MMA,
Yeah.
and you're gonna see that blue collar community. You're gonna see it's one-on-one. It's him versus the other man, but at the same time, it's also him versus himself.
For sure.
And that's where us as parents, us as coaches, us as teachers have to understand that he may not win, or if he does win, he has to win like a man. But just because you win doesn't mean that your journey stops there. You have to keep working at it. But if you lose, it's okay, because it's not. There are coaches out there. There are people out there who are going to say winning and losing is everything. That's fine, but
that's the problem too.
And that's what I'm saying. In the grand scheme of life, you're going to have failures. It's about how you tie your bootstraps up and move forward.
Yeah.
Because we're not always going to win. We're not always going to be successful. We're not always going to, but can you help guide your children to be great members of society? And I think that's one of our common goals.
I think that's why I bring up the whole Rock thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
as
much as he's an entitled ego, I think he's an entitled egomaniac, whatever. It is what it is. I probably would be too if I was who he is. But what I think happened is I think they saw the fans turn. They thought this was bullshit. And he was able to take that ego, put it down, right? Put the heel hat on and do what was right and give the fans what they wanted.
Because he can still make money.
Yeah.
He knows how to print money.
I do agree. I do agree that he's got some leverage there with that, right? It's not like he's up and coming and they're trying to pull this thing from underneath him. But that comes right back to those parents that don't give a shit.
Yes.
That don't care. And it's about them. And it's about their kids. And
Yes.
it's about what's best for them. And I truly believe that it was not supposed to go that way. And he stepped aside and let it happen the way it was supposed to happen. And it gained like a level of respect. Again, it's just my opinion. I think that's what happened. But I think that was a good thing. And I think more people should be able to recognize something like that, even though it's a giant level, and bring it back down to home and be self-aware and look at some things and be like, hey, maybe it's not about me or my kid. Maybe it's about someone else.
You gotta put your ego aside. And sometimes it's about bringing that person up. It's about bringing that people, like you said, we know he's successful. Step aside. It's somebody else's turn. And
100%.
We know you had your turn, and you're still gonna have your spot, but it's somebody else's turn. Are you willing to give them? There's plenty to go around. I say this at work all the time. I work for a very large company. Just because I'm getting mine doesn't mean you can't get yours.
Yeah.
There is plenty to go around. I want all of us to be the top. I want all of us to be unstoppable. I want our team to be the best team.
Your own top. Because within a job, everybody's skills bring something to the plate.
Why can't we all be the top?
Yeah.
There's plenty to go around. I don't need to be the top of the top. At the end of the day, we can all be successful together. But bring your teammates up, bring your children up, bring whoever up. Because truly, there's an alpha, there's a beta, and there's a sigma. Guess what? The alphas believe that they're the only ones, that they're going to be at the top. The betas, we understand that they fall a little bit behind. Yeah. Sigmas can stand behind and get everybody up with them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there definitely is a difference between all three. Why can't we all eat? Why can't we all eat at the table?
Yeah.
And that's where The Rock steps back. That's where, when it comes to your son and he's gonna whether he wins or loses, guess what? We're gonna show you the right path. We're gonna show you that it's okay to fail, but if you win, You still have to fight for it. You still have to drive for it. You still have to put in the work. But that person that you're fighting against, bring them up with you. Be better.
Yeah. There's a level of, I think, a good way to teach things. And I used to think about this when I was younger, when I first started, trying to move up through work and whatnot. It's something that I think some people think that they deserve things, and then others that have earned things. And there's a giant difference, right?
There's a huge disconnect.
I bust my balls all the time, and maybe I deserve something, but maybe someone else busted balls a little bit better than I did, and they earned it better than I did.
And
and it's accepting that and figuring that out.
And everybody has different connections, and I'm not faulting anybody for having a connection or having somebody that's going to give them that spotlight, if you will. But are you going to show up in that time? Are you going to show up when the time is right? Are you going to show up? And if you fail, that's not the end of the world.
Right.
You still have a chance to make it right.
For sure.
But if we fail as coaches, if we fail as parents, if we fail as leaders, when they get their second chance, are they going to rise, or are they going to sit in the corner and expect to be handed something?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's tough right now, is that you have too many people that want to be handed stuff as opposed to earning.
Yeah.
And that earning goes a long way, because guess what? And I don't mean to get all like war about or anything like that, but anybody, the four of us, three of you guys, meaning me, the three of you, I will fight with you every step of the way, because I know you guys will have my back. But other people, I'm sorry, but there are certain people that I will not have their back. I know you guys will stand with me in that front line. And there are some people you just can't trust, because push comes to shove, they want to be handed.
Yeah, and they're also in it for themselves.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't trust their character. And I think that character is built at such a young age that if you don't start now, if they're going to be poor winners, poor losers, whatever it may be, I think we teach them young.
Yeah,
because that sense of entitlement is here.
I love it. Well, for all our viewers out there, maybe drop a like and throw in the comments who your hero is. I mean, how many of us have had garbage heroes? The kids nowadays, it's like, what's up? I just dropped a 3 in your face instead of understanding perseverance, the arrogance and privilege and all that other kind of stuff. So we've loved having you guys here with us for this ep. We'll check you guys soon on the Moretako Encounter. Have a good one.